Welcome to the Biscuit Book Club on Joy 620 WRJZ, featuring Marci and Shelly. Today, conversation will build you up in the faith and encourage you to do what God has called you to do. Brought to you by Simplify Hauling. And now, let's go to the studio with Marci.
Welcome to the Biscuit Book Club, y'all. We're serving up stories with Southern charm. I'm Shelly.
And I'm Marci. So go ahead and grab a cup of coffee or hot cocoa, whatever it is that keeps you cozy, and settle in, because we've got kind of an exciting show right now. So I'm very excited about it.
Yes, I am excited. And it's the new year, and maybe someone out there is thinking about becoming a writer, and this is definitely the episode you need to listen to.
Yes, there's a lot of people who have great writing tips. I'm going to take that back a little bit. There's a lot of people out there that have good writing tips, but then there's a few people that have great writing tips. And I don't know if you have ever gone to like a conference or something where maybe it's a marriage conference, and then you find out they're not married, or you go to one on parenting and you find out they have no children, and so they might have great advice, but they don't really have the proof is in the pudding, and they don't have any pudding at all. So, but I have to say, one of my favorite authors is James Scott Bell. I am exhausted right now because I could not put his last book that I read down. It was called Your Son is Alive, and John was like, "Are you ready to go to bed yet?" Just not quite yet. No. I'm still drinking my tea, and I could not put that book down. It was so suspenseful and such a page turner that there was no way I could put that down. So I think I stayed up all night reading that. And then I think I finished just in time to start the coffee for the next morning. But it was so worth it because I think there's something to be said for well-written suspense, well-written books. Yes. And I love the fact that...
And he puts his advice into practice in his book.
He does. How do you have some of his craft books?
I think I have all of them, yes. He is, I'm always recommending his craft books, and just using what I've learned from them. And I was lucky enough to get to hear him speak at Vision, a Christian Writing Conference, and just always look for advice that'll help me be better in my fiction writing. And I definitely recommend his book.
Yeah, James Scott Bell is such a great speaker. I think I was telling you, like, I would go to hear him speak if he was just telling people how to change toilet paper. Seriously, like his voice is so. And he started off as a lawyer, so he really does a lot of legal thrillers and stuff like that. But you know what? Why don't we see if Jim is? Let's see if he's home. Let's give him a call. On our old-timey phone for somebody who, I don't know, I just love his books. And I do love, I don't know if you've read his Substack, but that's great, too. It's got like 11,000 people on that right now.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, is this James Scott Bell, the writer extraordinaire and teacher extraordinaire?
Well, I'll take that. Yes, I am he.
Okay. Well, this is
Welcome
Marci.
to the Biscuit Book Club. I'm Shelly.
Nice.
And gosh,
great.
I think I met you, Jim. Probably it was at Mount Hermon, which is now Vision Writers Conference, but I don't even know how many years ago that was. Maybe at least a dozen years ago.
Yes, it was a long time ago. I well remember, and we've seen each other there over the years.
And I do have to say, I think it's very important and I encourage people who write nonfiction. I write mostly nonfiction, but I encourage them to get your books, because even if you're writing nonfiction, you still need to know all the fiction techniques. And so I think that your books have such a great crossover for fiction and nonfiction. So I'm always very careful to not categorize your books as being for just the fiction writer. But
and I'm always recommending your craft books, Jim. What's one book you recommend other than your own?
Oh, really? That I recommend? Well,
yeah.
You know, I love craft books. That's really how I learned to write. When I was in college, I was told by some of the professors that you can't really learn how to write, and that writing books were sort of worthless. And I believed that for many, many years. And then one day I just said, you know, I've got to try this. I've got to see if I can write. And I started to study craft books, and lo and behold, they taught me, and I put them into practice. And one of the early books that I wrote was by a teacher named Jack Bickham, who wrote a book called Writing Novels That Sell, and he's written a number of books like that. He's passed away, but he was a great teacher. And I just recall reading something in that book that was sort of like an epiphany. Light bulbs went off, and all of a sudden something kicked in, and it was really from that point forward that my work started to get attention and to sell eventually.
And then you wrote in the traditional publishing field for a long time, but you've really moved more to indie publishing.
Yeah, well, I did. I grew up in the traditional publishing industry, the Christian Booksellers Association industry, and it was fantastic. I loved it. And then I came to a point about the time that the Kindle first appeared to consider, which road to take, because a lot of traditional writers were moving over to indie. And so I kind of explored that for a year or two, and then finally around 2012, I guess, I think I took the full dive and went into it. And the reason I love it is that I can write more books, I can write faster, I can have the books appear for sale the week that I finish them, whereas in the traditional industry, you're waiting a year or more for it to hit the shelves. So it's just the creative freedom of it, and the joy of it really is there for me as an indie writer, and I've enjoyed the ride.
And then also, I think, like, when you are with a traditional publisher, they have people that they want to stay in their lane. So, like, you would have been just the legal thrillers or just the suspense guy, but you have written other things. And so I think being traditionally published is good for some writers or for a way for people to get started. But if you do have other things that you want to write, sometimes indie publishing is a great way to branch out into that.
That's absolutely true. And I specialize in thrillers, and I love it. But I also have I have nonfiction that I want to write, kind of books that I don't think traditional publishers would necessarily get or encourage me in, because, like you said, stay in your lane. But I like the freedom of it, and I think the readers that have gotten that stuff have appreciated that as well. So there's just no downside for me right now to that.
Well,
and what is the last craft book you wrote? Was it The Mirror Moment? That's really one that's been hugely popular because it's called Write Your Novel from the Middle, and it's something that I kind of discovered in great writing, and I put it into a book because nobody had ever written about this before. People talk about beginnings and endings, but there's an idea. You called it the mirror moment, and that's what the book is about. I love it.
And it worked so well for me that I said I've got to tell other writers about it. But I've written several books after that as well. I've written a book called The Last 50 Pages, which is a book about how to end a novel too, and others. They're all on my website, and but I enjoy it.
Well, And then I know I've heard you talk about the mirror moment and about how movies can sometimes be an inspiration on how they have a pacing and how they have that turning point and stuff. What is one of your favorite movies?
Oh my goodness!
That does that well?
I was a film major in college, and I love old movies, and I love old movies because of what not only how they can teach us about the craft because they're so well structured, but also because of their moral values and the content that they had and the traditional heroism and so on. That I encourage, especially these younger writers, to study those films. 25 years ago, if I mentioned the movie Casablanca, which is a favorite, an all-time favorite, it's sort of assumed that everybody had seen it. Now, when I speak to younger writers, so many of them haven't seen it, and some of them will say, "Well, I don't watch black and white movies," and I just sort of go, "Oh no, you're missing so much." So Casablanca would be probably the one that I'd start with as far as great movies to teach us about the craft and inspire us, and really see what life was like in those days of during World War II. Mm-hmm. So that's one.
Yeah.
And another one I'll mention is an all-time favorite is Shane, which is a Western with Alan Ladd, and I found that really appeals to a lot of men who have the ideal, looking for the ideal hero, the kind of guy who rides in, sees what's going on, and brings justice to the homesteaders or the town or whatever it is. And that kind of character, that sort of lone heroic Western hero, is a model for my series character, whose name is Mike Romeo. I have a Mike Romeo series of 10 books, and working on number 11 right now. That's the kind of vibe that I wanted to bring back and have in my current thrillers. So those are a couple movies I'd mention.
Okay. We are big John Wayne fans. So I would have to say The Cowboys, though, one of his later movies, was one that I just cannot even watch without crying because it's so well done. But, the character development. Yeah. And I love that. One of the things... Go ahead.
No, he made some great movies. He made several movies with the great director John Ford. And then later, like you say, the Cowboys, True Grit, The Shootist. He made some really great movies at the end of his career, too.
Yeah. Well, and the chemistry he had with Maureen O'Hara and McClintock and stuff was just really funny. So he was a great actor.
I have a request for your next craft book.
Lay it on me.
So if you could write a craft book out with movie plot points, like watch this movie, take this, like you have your mirror moment in the middle, and but you have leading up to it, you have all the structure, you have the 25% in pinch points, like pick a movie and then just.
Yeah, no, you know what? Honestly, I write for a group blog called Kill Zone. Kill Zone, that's, people can search for Kill Zone blog. And I blog every Sunday on writing. And one of the things you can search for in that site is called JSB. That's me, JSB at the movies. And I do that. Okay. I take apart movies like that and do exactly what you're talking about. So now that you put that bug in my ear, maybe I'll eventually collect them and put them in a book.
Yeah, that would be great.
After your class I took at Mount Hermon, I came home and started watching old movies, and I thought he needs a book that walks you through this. And it's very helpful to see that when you watch a movie. It's like, oh, that's the dark moment, or that's the no return, point of no return, or whatever. I love that.
Yeah,
so I'll be looking at it. I'll look up the Kill Zone.
Yeah, I use, when I teach at conferences and in class workshops and so on, I do use movie clips because they're a visual clue, and to kind of, you can talk about what something does, but when you see it happening, it makes the learning much easier. So that's why I love to do that.
Yeah.
And then
it was very helpful.
You also, so you write on the Kill Zone, but you also have your own Substack. So can you share with listeners, where can they find you on that?
Well, all you have to do is in your browser, search for Substack James Scott Bell, and that'll take you there. The name of the Substack is Whimsical Wanderings. Now, this is a whole different kind of writing that I really love doing. It's they're humorous pieces that are meant to kind of lift the load off you in this chaotic world. And what I do is I riff off of something. Sometimes I riff off an obituary or a random word from the dictionary, and I just follow the connections, which are always surprising to me and to the readers. I mean, how do you get from spider webs to Burt Lancaster's teeth? How do you get there? Well, that's how I got there. So I describe it kind of like jazz, where you've got the beat, you've got the melody, but you're going to be able to riff off of that whenever the inspiration strikes you. And it's just, the people who like it, who read it, just say that's like the first thing they read if they get it in the morning, and it just makes the day go better. It's just to make you smile, but also sometimes to inform you. There's certain facts that I uncover that are things that are really interesting to me that I didn't know, and I pass those along too. So that's kind of what it is. It's a whimsical wandering, Alice down the rabbit hole sort of vibe, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, and I think that brings up a great point, is the fact that as a fiction writer and suspense writer, you are always thinking and learning about new facts. And so where do you put those? Because you can't put them all in your book, and yet they have been interesting. So that's a great place to put that. I would have to say, when we talked to Angela Hunt, she talked about the fact that craft means everything. And so she had said that with the onslaught of indie publishing, that people need to be doing it with purpose, not because they're taking an easy way out, but that they have to really still study craft. It's kind of like the real estate agent's location. And I don't think that we can really kind of highlight that enough, the fact that if you need good craft, that you can always be digging deeper. And like Shelly and I have both said, James Scott Bell is the leading expert in everything writing related as far as craft. So I just wanted to put that out there because we really both have appreciated learning so much from you. So
well, thanks. Thank you. I agree with Angie on that. We're good friends, and we've talked about this for years. Yes, I mean, I've spent really, when I made the decision to try to learn, to say, can I learn this? Can I learn how to be a writer and write publishable material? That was in 1988. And it was really 7 years before my first novel was published. But I've spent almost every day, at least for the first 20 years, doing some study of craft, even as I was writing. Writing is the most important. You've got to produce those words and keep trying and so on. But I would study it, just like, if you're going to go into bomb demolition, you want to study the craft before you practice it. So, you know, and so anyway, so I do agree with her. Now, you know, there's a little bit of a lot of controversy now about AI and how it can do things for you. And a writer or someone who wants to produce a book can have AI do all that work for you. But that's not going to result in something that comes out of you, which is that unique factor, that human unique factor that really, I think, is so important today to elevate your material. So you got to do the work yourself, and so that's what I continue to stress. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the book that you just had come out was the 11th in the series, right? So an AI-generated book is not going to have a series that's ongoing like the one you have in your Romeo Truth series, right?
Well, you know, actually, it's 10 books. I'm working on 11.
Oh.
And I don't see why. I think AI could do that, could do a series because it remembers everything you've done before. And but it just makes my tummy rumble, and I get all jittery thinking about that because I don't want to hand off what's uniquely my own to a machine, and I would never want to do that. First of all, I think it cheats the readers out there who truly do expect and want a human author. I mean, polls and surveys confirm that. And I don't want to cheat anyone, so I would never do that. I would never hand it off. And besides which, I'm better than AI. AI can't write as good as I can.
That's right. Yes. And I feel like it takes away the feeling. No, I agree. And where's the feeling? Where's the voice? You know, I was telling my husband last night I was writing a scene that made me just cry. You know, and AI can't do that for you. If I'm going to cry for the scene, then hopefully my readers will feel that too.
Yeah, it's a fake. They generate fake feelings. I mean, you can tell it's not really a human feeling. It's like you went to a funeral and you saw somebody crying, but you obviously could see it was a fake cry or something like that. That's how it feels with AI. And I think people say, well, eventually it's going to get better, but I don't know if it'll ever get over that boundary.
And I was looking through covers. Right. Last night I was looking through covers on Southern fiction. That's what I write. And I saw a cover and I was like, oh, that's an AI cover. I can spot it a mile away.
Right,
so
right.
I think that we can.
Yeah.
So you've taught hundreds of writers over the years, Jim. What do successful ones tend to have in common that you've seen?
Well, I think a certain professional outlook, that they know that this isn't just something for a lazy person to try to make money. They treat it seriously as a craft. You can tell. You can tell those people, and they take what is taught and apply it. They learn to apply it. They take it in and they make it their own, and then they own it. Then that's part of them. So, and just keeping at it, they don't have a chip on their shoulder about I'm so great, you really can't teach me anything. They are willing to learn, and they're open to that. And I think that, you can really tell, I think, when you talk to people, get into conversations or see their work, that's what they're like. And those are the ones who are going to tend to succeed.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that want to write a book in the new year, and this show is dropping right at the first part of the year. So if you are one of those people, please don't walk. Run to your nearest bookstore or Amazon or James Scott Bell's website and purchase some of his books on craft. Hey, do you have a new book coming out? What's your newest book coming out?
Well, it's called Cinnamon Buns and Milk Bone Underwear. Did I mention that already?
No.
I can't recall. You would have remembered, but yeah, cinnamon buns and milk bone underwear. And that's a collection of these pieces from Whimsical Wanderings, and it's a book that can be picked up at any point, and you can open it random to any one of these things and just get caught up into what the journey is in that particular piece.
Okay,
and,
so it's not a suspense.
The title itself kind of tells you what the vibe is.
Okay, that's a relief. I'm glad to know that you haven't had an axe murder in my favorite bakery.
All right, let me jot that down.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're in luck, you'll be able to get cinnamon buns. I was going to say milk bone buns. Cinnamon buns and milk bone underwear is coming out. And if you haven't found James Scott Bell, find him on Substack. There are a lot of people on Whimsical Wanderings, and where James talking about all different things. So we really appreciate you being on the show. And what advice could you give us as in our last few moments here for writers?
Well, I think, with bottom line, there's all kinds of advice out there on how to market books and how to do this and how to manipulate algorithms and things like that. The bottom line is that the best, most effective always marketing is what's between the covers of the book. And you have to write good books. You have to write quality. So concentrate always. Make that the main thing. You produce the words and keep trying to make them better, and just keep that momentum going throughout your writing life. That's really, if I had to say, is there one secret to it, that would be it. Just keep producing, keep getting better.
Okay, great advice from
Thank
Mr. James
you.
Scott Bell, whom Shelly and I have both had the joy of meeting in person, hearing in person, and you can check his website out at Substack. And thank you so much, Mr. Bell, for joining us, and keep it reading and keep it cozy, y'all. This is the Biscuit Book Club, and we'll be back with more guests next week with books, stories, and biscuits.
Thank you for listening to today's Biscuit Book Club with Marci and Shelly. Be listening next week at the same time for great encouragement and a challenge for what God has for your life on the Biscuit Book Club on Joy 620 WRJZ.